big game tomorrow night, 7:30 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which promises to be a good game of football, in my opinion. I mean, every game Brentford have been, well, the majority of games Brentford have been involved in this season have been really exciting games of football, haven't they?
Well, they go for it, don't they? They're not scared of anyone. Home or away, it doesn't matter who they're playing. They give it a good game. They give it a good go. And they have had some bad results recently, although they've kind of stemmed the tide of after 5 consecutive defeats. But I think with Brentford what you're going to get. You're going to get a team who's very, very physical, very intense from set pieces, always willing to get players in the box from long throws, even if it doesn't matter what time of the game it is. It doesn't matter who they're playing. They're willing to get numbers in the box from set pieces. They like to play the ball very, very quickly. So it's going to be a tough game. And obviously we have better players, but it's going to be a very, very difficult game when it comes to making sure we're working harder than them, because that's the key to beating Brentford, I think.
Definitely. It's all going to be about hard work, and if Conte has got into these players, then that's what we're going to see tomorrow night at the Tottenham Stadium. But this is your match preview. When you're looking at Brentford, who's really impressed you in terms of their personnel so far?
Yeah, obviously you got the likes of Ivan Toney, who's had a decent season, although the goals dried up quite a bit, I would say, of late. And Mbeumo is a player who has probably been one of the unluckiest players in the Premier League, I would say, because he's had so many shots off the post and so many shots. That and chances when he's through on goal, which haven't been able to make the most of. But he's one who's a big threat. He's got a lot of pace in behind and stuff like that. Rico Henry, the left back, he's one of late who's really starting to contribute in the final third. He's starting to get some goals and he's been pretty good. The keeper, I would have said before he got injured, he was having a great season as well.
Bad injury, actually, 4 or 5 months apparently.
Yeah, it's really bad for him, which is a shame. So he was playing really well. So they've got quite a few players. And Canos as well in central midfield, the creative player, nice ball player. So he's one as well I've definitely been impressed with. But obviously the big threat is the front two, Toney and Mbeumo, who link up really, really well. And Toney is like the physical guy who gets up for aerial challenges and physical battles, and then Mbeumo is usually the one who's running in behind, getting beyond the back line and stretching the play. So it's going to be difficult. Also, they like to play 3 at the back, so they're going to match us up in that aspect. So it's going to be difficult to combat them tactically. But obviously, we do have the superior players. It's just about whether we can match their intensity, which we know Brentford are very intense.
Yeah, and with those two, Ivan Toney and Mbeumo up front, how do you think they're going to fare against the back three, which won't be our strongest back three? No Romero, probably be Sanchez, Dyer and Davis. How do you think those two will combat against our back three?
It's hard to say. I would say that I can see them getting a lot of joy if they're able to get the supply to them. I think that's going to be the main way to stop Brentford kind of getting a lot of joy, is cutting off the supply to Toney and Mbeumo, not letting them get the ball quickly to them. The thing is, they're not scared to go long. They're not scared to play a long ball into Toney and have him hold it up. So it's going to be very difficult. Dyer, if we had Romero there, who we know is very aggressive, and he would like to get in front of Toney and not let him win a physical battle like he did with Antonio, I would say would have a lot more joy. But seeing as he's out, we're probably going to be seeing as Sanchez is in the lineup for Burnley. I'm guessing it's going to be Sanchez again for Brentford.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very easy predicted lineup this week.
Seeing as we saw the lineup. So I would say it's going to be difficult because Dyer, Davis and Sanchez are not the most proactive of centre-backs, which Conte likes, we know that. And he likes them to be very comfortable in the ball. So can I see Mbeumo and Toney getting some joy? I can, unfortunately. We'll just have to make sure we're cutting off supply as much as possible. And when Toney gets the ball, we're watching those runs in Mbeumo, not making sure he's not running in behind and making sure he's not getting that space. because in Buemo, he's, as I said before, like he gets so many chances. I don't know how many goals he's got. Like I don't think it's as many goals as he should be getting. He's had he must have missed some of the most big chances in the league this season.
I was about to say he's probably, in terms of strikers in the Premier League, he's probably got the most XG without getting any goals.
Yeah, has he not scored at all?
I think maybe one.
Because he scored 2 goals.
Oh, two
goals. But I think he's hit the post like 7 times.
Yeah.
Every game I see. I swear.
I mean, definitely at the start of the season he was hitting the post a lot, and then I put him on my fantasy, and he hasn't done nothing since.
I remember against Chelsea, they absolutely battered them. Mendy had a mad game, and then Buemo I think hit the post twice and forced Mendy into some loads of saves. So them two are going to be a massive threat to us. And we've just got to make sure that the centre-backs are dominating them physically, making sure we're cutting off supply to them. Otherwise, it's going to be very, very difficult. And Burnley as well, just like Tottenham are looking to do, they like to overload the opposite fullback area when the opposite winger has the ball. So you'll see when Rico Henry has the ball, they're going to overload the far side of the pitch at the back post to make sure there's an outnumbered. So we're going to have to watch out for that. It's going to be very, very difficult to manage. Yeah. And so our fullbacks are only obviously going to have to be very, very attacking and offensive, but also going to have to make sure that when the Brentford wing-backs are in attacking positions, they're not just high up the pit, caught out of position, because otherwise they're going to be caught out in overloads, and they manage that very, very well, Brentford usually.
Yeah. Can we get some of the graphics on screen? We've got the standard match preview assets. When you're looking at when we've come up against Brentford, obviously we haven't played them much. We played them last year in the Cup, but before then we hadn't played them since 2000. I slightly remember the 3-2s. Just to put it into context, who was playing for us the last time we played Brent? Well, to be honest, all those games that were brought up were all in the Cup. But when we beat them 3-2, I mean, I'm just trying to get it up on screen, but just to put it into a bit of context for you, it was back in 2000. I think Stefan Freund and them lot were playing for us, David Ginola, in the Cup when we did win 3-2. I can't seem to get it, but I think it's too far away to get the proper stats up. Which is mad, actually.
Probably. No, surely you should get a lineup.
Trying to get it.
What is it, Andy Booth playing?
Andy Booth. Andy Booth only played like one game for us, didn't he? When we beat them 3-2 in 2000, Stephen Carr and Jose Dominguez and Ramon Vega scored for us.
So it's been a while since. Is this their first time in the Premier League, isn't it? So these are all cup
games. And in '98, back then is when we it was 2-legged second round League Cup games. I don't know if you even know if you remember that.
No, I don't.
And in 2000, it was the same. So back then, I think the first 2 rounds of the competition were 2-legged.
And we won both of them 3-2.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But yeah, that's kind of we just haven't played them, so there's no like past experience to go by. But when you're looking at the form in the league, Brentford have kind of like put an end to that slump that they were on. 5 defeats in a row. They've backed it up with a draw and a win now. 7 goals in their last 5, 10 conceded in their last 5. So I mean, they're a defence that are there to be got at.
Definitely. No. Look, they're as much as they're a dangerous team, and they've done well since coming up from the Championship. They are a champion. They are like a lot of these players, Championship quality, who are overperforming. So as long as they're a team that obviously works hard, but as long as you match them in their work rate, with our superior players, they're definitely got at. They can definitely be got at, and they can definitely be stopped. Norwich beat them a couple of weeks ago. That shows that they're very much a fallible team. So there's nothing for Tottenham to fear. We just got to make sure we don't underestimate them. That's the main thing, and they are doing well, but they're doing well for as a Championship team getting promoted. This isn't a team who are blowing teams away left, right, and centre or anything like that. They're just having a good start to the season for a promoted side. So I think Tottenham have to make sure we don't underestimate them, but we can't show them too much respect either. We've got to make sure that we're dominating the game.
We shouldn't be showing anyone too much respect. Let's be honest. We should be going out there, playing our game, sticking to our guns, and playing like a more dominant side.
Yeah, especially against a team like Brentford, 100%. We should be, Kane, Son, Lucas have to be getting them on the ball as much as possible. They can really hurt that back three of Brentford, and they're one of their biggest strengths is their wing backs, but also one of their biggest weaknesses is the fact that they like to get forward so much, and hopefully Kane, Son, and Lucas can exploit that, and also Reguilon and Emerson as well. So I think we're going to be playing with those two centre-mids of Skip and Højbjerg. We're going to give ourselves a solid base. So going to have to make sure that the wing-backs are getting really far forward, despite the fact that Brentford like to get their wing-backs far forward as well. We have to make sure that we're making them, pushing them back rather than them pushing us back. So we need Reguilon and Emerson to really dominate those wide areas. Yeah,
definitely. When you're looking at the ways that we can hurt them, you're saying that we need to dominate those wide areas. How do we really hurt their defence? Because, they've got centre-backs that do like to go forward as well. They've got centre-backs that have got quite a few assists this season. How do we hurt them apart from kind of pressing them back with the fullbacks?
I would say if we get it to, I think Harry Kane is a massive player in this game, because if we can get the ball to him and get him to hold the ball up, then you get runners of Son and Lucas in behind the Brentford centre-backs, because as you've seen so far under Conte, they've liked to stay very central, haven't they? The three attackers, with Reguilon and Emerson providing the width. So I would say get Kane holding the ball up, get him pinning the centre-backs back, get Son and Lucas involved as much as possible, and get them in the attacking areas. And as much as the Brentford centre-backs like to be ball-playing and they are strong, they're definitely gettable. You can definitely take them on and you can beat them. So I would say Lucas and Son have to be able to take them on and have to be able to get in behind them. There should be some space behind that Brentford back line. As much as Brentford are a solid team, they do leave you with a chance. So I would say Son and Lucas are going to be very crucial in this game.
Would you play an Ndombele in this game? Because you're saying there's going to be a lot of space in behind, and with Skip and Højbjerg in the middle there, it's kind of hard for them to try and exploit that space, and it's more likely that Ndombele can from the middle of the park to create those kind of avenues that he does. Would you play him?
Well, depends what formation. I mean, we could match, because Brentford play three at the back, but also two up front with three in the centre. So you could match them and put an Ndombele in there and make sure they're not dominating the midfield battle, which is a possibility. I think having Ndombele in the centre, as opposed to Lucas up top, might create a bit more creativity. I would say so. It's definitely something I would consider. I'm trying to remember. I think didn't Ndombele got an assist, if I remember rightly, in the was it Ndombele?
What, last season?
Yeah, against Brentford. I think he played Son through on goal. I think it was him when they scored.
I don't remember.
But I think I would consider it because you do risk kind of getting outnumbered in the centre, and I do think the team that we have is better suited to having an extra midfielder rather than the Lucas and rather than having Lucas. But it depends how.
John won't be happy with you now.
Definitely, yeah, probably not. But it's also. Having Lucas there does also provide the ability to stretch that back three of Brentford, which not having him you might see Son and Lucas a bit isolated up top, and maybe the Brentford backline might fancy themselves. So I think I'll probably just keep it with Lucas for now, but I think definitely in the future having Ndombele or Lo Celso in the centre probably better suits the team we have.
I personally think that we can play that same formation that Brentford play with Lucas in the middle, because I think he has bite to his challenges. He likes to run around, he likes to put his foot in sometimes, and also he can relieve the pressure as well, where he can get the ball in the middle of the park and just drive forward. So I don't see why we can't play Lucas Moura in that middle park, in that middle role.
You could. I don't know. You could, but it's whether he.
Do you not think he's suited to that?
What, playing just behind, like how we play him on FIFA?
Yeah, like how we play him on FIFA, or even a bit deeper. like in a
I wouldn't
middle
want him
middle
bit
three.
deeper. I wouldn't want him a bit deeper because you need a bit of guile in that area. You need to be able to like pass and move and be very accurate with when you're laying the ball off. And Lucas is a great dribbler. But whether he'd be like, maybe he could, but like, I feel like he can definitely dribble from deep and get in on the back
That's
line.
his forte.
Yeah, we know that. But whether he's able to, when he's got the ball in the centre of the park with players around him, he can always dribble his way out of trouble. But he also needs to be able to look up and have a bit of vision. And that's why I question whether he'd be suited to that role. I mean, I think you could probably give it a go. But whether, when he's running straight at the back line and he's got options, whether he picks the right option and plays people through on goal, I don't know. We have to wait and see, wouldn't we, with Lucas? Maybe he could do it. I mean, he's obviously a very hard worker. Would you want him in that centre of the park in midfield when you don't have the ball? Maybe he's probably better off than Ndombele, you could argue.
I think that's a definite that he's going to be better off than Ndombele. He runs around, he gives his all for the team, and he's a very hard worker, Lucas Moura, and he can put in a challenge. He can. I don't see why he couldn't make that role. I really don't. And when you're talking about Ndombele not giving his all for the team or not providing enough for us in that central midfield role, and like we can only put him further up the pitch, I think Lucas Moura could really do that. I really believe it.
I think he could be a good like option right now, like as a stopgap. I don't know if he could be a long-term solution.
No, I agree with that. Yeah, for sure. I'm talking about in the options we have right now. I'm not talking about, if I want him to see there long-term and we want to sign a new player there, fine. But I'm talking about right now. We're talking about this game. You know what I mean?
He probably could do a job there. I mean, I don't see why not. Especially in this kind of game. But it's whether he can. It's always the same problem with Lucas. When he gets in those positions, he needs to be able to make that killer pass and make those right options. And I have the feeling we might get a bit frustrated with him. But
yeah, we get frustrated with him anyway, don't we?
That's true. So I don't know. I mean, from a disciplined tactical point of view, would I want him there? I don't know, because it's whether he. Either because you have to be quite disciplined, I feel, if you're going to be in that middle three as well, because you need to get back in position. And is he going to be a bit too much like a headless chicken in there, or is he going to actually be able to do a very good job for us? I don't know.
The thing is, if we've got Skip and Højbjerg in there with him, that gives him a bit of leeway because you've got those two with a very solid base. So he's going to be the one with a kind of a bit of a more free role in there. Yeah, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, potentially, it could work. Yeah, it could work. I mean, especially in this game, it definitely could work. So, I wouldn't. You could give that a go.
When you're looking at the players that Brentford have out, we've already spoken about David Raya, the goalkeeper, Christopher Aya. I mean, he was a summer signing from Celtic, wasn't he? Joshua Da Silva, who's played quite a lot of football this season. I'm not sure about Jorgensen and Giovanni.
I don't know about Giovanni, but I know Jorgensen. He's the Danish centre-back, I believe. And he was playing quite a bit. So
I like that midfielder Onyeka. I think he's a very good player.
Yeah, he's really come a long way this season. Definitely started the season really well. Obviously, Canos, he's had a very strong start to the season. Rico Henry recently is in great form. So it's not going to be easy when playing against these lot, and especially now they're back on form after 4 defeats in a row. That would have really played on their mind, I think. And to get back on form, it was a good win against Everton, I think. So it wasn't. It was a hard-fought victory, although it was from a penalty. It was definitely a hard-fought victory, and those kind of wins definitely give you confidence as a team. And they obviously they love the manager. Everyone's singing from the same hymn sheet over there. So now they're starting to pick up points again. They're going to be maybe a different animal to maybe when they're on a bad run. Yeah,
and when you bring up the next stat and the one to watch, you've got Ivan Toney, who tops the Premier League for aerial battles won. I'm guessing that's as a striker. But first, that just shows how much of a big battle the defence are up against this on Thursday night, doesn't it?
Yeah, especially because Dyer, especially Davis as well, Dyer, Davis and Sanchez, they're all decent in the air, but none of them are exceptional. So when you're playing against a player like Toney, who is really exceptional in the air, it's going to make it all the more difficult. And when you've got a Buemo running in behind against, Davis, who's not the quickest, none of them, except for obviously Sanchez is quick, but Dyer and Davis definitely can be caught out from a
I think
from
Dyer's
a pace.
fairly solid in the air. Dyer can do a job on Tony, can't he?
I told you he's good, but he's not exceptional. So for example, if there's 10 aerial challenges, Tony could win 5 of them. You know what I mean?
What about Joe Rodon? Would you consider playing him for the aerial ability?
I would, but he doesn't fancy him in terms of him on the ball, and that's what is massive when it comes to playing in a Conte system. You need to be able to be comfortable on the ball, and you need to be able to either play line-breaking passes or be able to stride the midfield. And Rodon, I know. Look, for Swansea, he was quite good at that. Wales haven't seen too much of it, but for Spurs, we haven't seen too much of him being comfortable on the ball and be able to actually play the ball forward confidently with accuracy. So, as much as he's great in the air, would I put him in for this game? Probably not.
Because, as much as we need defenders comfortable on the ball and comfortable in playing out from the back, in this game, when you're coming up against the striker who's won the most aerial challenges in the Premier League, you've got to be competent in the air. You've got to have those defenders that are going to beat him in the air and with the aerial ability. That's the only reason why I would say potentially put him in. I
would say it's more important when you're having us in possession being effective when we're on the ball. So I think it's more, yes, okay, you might lose a few challenges to Tony. Okay, you got to make sure you pick up the second balls, and you got to make sure you're picking up in Buemo, and maybe obviously in when it comes to headers in the penalty area, it's going to be difficult, but you can't sacrifice the potential downside of us being, because I think the way we build up play with our centre backs is so important under Conte, really important.
Yeah.
And if they're not building up play effectively, you're going to see us be completely ineffective with the ball, and you're going to see us playing long balls all the time and not being able to play through the lines and not being able to create chances, and that's going to really hamper us. So I'm not saying obviously putting in Rodon's completely going to ruin our play, but I'm just saying you need us as effective as possible at the back, and obviously having Sanchez there doesn't help, but who would you take? Would you put Rodon in for Sanchez potentially? I mean, maybe. I guess that wouldn't be the worst.
If it's going to be for anyone, it's got to be for him.
Yeah, because you need Dyer, and unfortunately, we need Dyer and Davis at the back.
How mad is that? Need Dyer and Davis at the back? It's crazy.
They're our best ball-playing centre-backs.
It's crazy. Just think about it. Imagine if you, like 6 months ago, if someone was to say that, everyone would be laughed out of the room.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
We don't need them in terms of like ability of their ability, but we need them in terms of our options. Like they are our best options right now, and that's sad to say, but that's just the reality. That's the state of our squad, which is why I'm saying we're so desperate for upgrading our centre backs. That's number one still, especially now with Conte coming in. So. I mean, I can see the logic in putting Rodon in for Sanchez, but you also need a pacey player as well to make sure Mbeumo doesn't get in behind. And you need to be able to have players more comfortable on the ball. Who's more comfortable on the ball, Sanchez or Rodon? You could argue Rodon, I guess, but we haven't. I know for Sanchez, we know he's not comfortable on the ball. Rodon, we're just not sure, are we?
To be fair with Sanchez, right? Since he's come in under Conte, I mean, his aerial presence has been quite good in these little cameos where he's come on.
Yeah.
Just where he's lacking is how comfortable he is on the ball.
We know that.
So, I mean...
Again, with Sanchez, physically he's decent, but that's all he is. He's good, but he's not exceptional. So Tony will win a few... when I would say... Tony will win his fair share. I'm sure Sanchez could compete with him for sure, but Tony will be able to get the better of him a few times, which is all he needs.
Yeah.
But again, we need to look. Maybe it's a case of sacrificing that to make sure that we're as good on the ball as possible when we're in possession.
Yeah. All right. What score prediction you go for?
I'm going to go with 2-1 Tottenham.
2-1. Yeah, we both went for 2-1 in our predict the Prem. I think we're both going to stick with that. I just want to see Harry Kane have a good game. I want to see him get on the score sheet. I want to see Sonny back on form as well, because if we have those two players both on form, I think we win this game.
For sure, because they're the most talented players on the pitch, so they could really make the difference. And if it's a tight game, their quality hopefully can make the difference when it comes to when it comes to being in the final third. Because
I mean, you can play terribly, but them two can pop up with a goal out of nowhere. You know what I mean?
And or just a bit of quality in the final third.
How many times were those two our get out of jail free card last season?
Yeah, last season, our whole game was based around them, wasn't it, for large parts of last season, which is which we haven't seen enough of this season, unfortunately. But we are getting used to a new system again now after Nuno, now Conte. So it's all about fitting them in to get the best out of them. For me, I've always said it, that I have a feeling that we need them centrally, both of them. I think we need Son centrally closer to goal, and I think it will be a better fall for Kane that way as well. But for now, they're going to be both a bit of Son and Lucas are going to be a bit wider, I feel, and we're going to go with that. But I feel like once we get Son and Kane centrally with another creative midfielder, that could be the best for us.